Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, coming with the day 2 of mandatory mini camp analysis and breakdown. The general theme, the defense dominated, but also St-Juste is out here balling. I'm telling y'all, Benjamin St-Juste is out here balling. We're going to talk about that. Antonio Gibson looks even better than he did last season, and much more. We're going to get into all of that, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I release an informative video like this one. You'll get a notification immediately and not every now and then. Also, make sure you go check out the rest of the channel. I have all of my videos organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos, so make sure you go check all of that out. Without further ado, man, I'm not going to hold y'all up. Let's get it. Alright, so the main overarching theme is that the defense is dominating, which we really shouldn't be surprised about, but the surprise is who's playing a big part in this domination. And the number one candidate today, at the very least, and really much of off-season workouts just in general, has been Benjamin St-Juste, our 3rd round pick. I mean, he's been getting pass breakup after pass breakup, interceptions, everything. He had at least 4 pass breakups this morning alone, just today, this morning. One of them was a very athletic one against Terry McLaurin in the end zone. Both players went up for a Taylor Heineke pass, and Terry got hands on it first, but St-Juste was not going to give up on the play, and he was able to jar it loose. And to do something like that against Terry, against a potential top 10 receiver, is big time. And again, this isn't just a flash in the pan. He had 4 pass breakups this morning alone, along with other pass breakups and interceptions throughout these offseason workouts, OTAs, and mandatory minicamp. He also cleanly jumped on a comeback route to the sideline, and then he dropped what would have been a pick 6. But I love the fact that mentally he knows exactly what's going on. He knows where to be. Ron Rivera even told reporters that St-Juste plays the whole play and there's no relax in this game. So he's mentally ahead of where we would expect him to be, very Kamren Curl like. And then he's also always moving, always willing to go make a play. He doesn't depend on somebody else to do it. He's like, I'll go do it. Also very Kamren Curl like. I think Benjamin St-Juste may be our corner version of Kamren Curl. We done got 2 back-to-back draft steals. Granted, Kamren Curl is a 7th round pick, Benjamin St-Juste is a 3rd. But if Benjamin St-Juste can ball out like he is against Terry McLaurin against the rest of the league on Sundays, and be our number 2 corner, our outside corner, and we can move Kendall Fuller back to the slot, that's an elite secondary. Because I love Kendall Fuller, but he's a good outside corner. He's an elite slot corner. There's definitely a big difference there. And if we can move Kendall Fuller back to his best position, our secondary is potentially elite. We've just been having to play Kendall Fuller at outside corner because we just haven't had other guys that are even good at it. Again, Kendall Fuller is good at outside corner, elite at slot, but we just haven't had outside corners that are good enough to dethrone Kendall Fuller and to be able to move him to slot corner. But now Kendall Fuller is going from last year being our cornerback 1. Ronald Darby was cornerback number 2. Kendall Fuller was usually covering the other team's best receivers. Now at the worst, he's going to be covering the number 2s now that we brought in William Jackson. And if Benjamin St-Juste continues on this trajectory, just like how Kamren Curl did last year, we didn't want to believe the hype with Kamren Curl, and then he ended up actually being a baller. Benjamin St-Juste is foreshadowing a lot of the same signs. But if Benjamin St-Juste can go out there and ball out and be the next Kamren Curl like camp surprise, then Kendall Fuller is going to be covering the slot receiver against any opposing team, and maybe only the 3rd best receiver. Man, Benjamin St-Juste working out can be a huge plus to this team, especially the secondary. Again, to reiterate, I just love the fact that it's like instincts. It's the mental part, because that's the part you have to worry about the most when it comes to players transitioning from college to the NFL. Especially somebody like him that's 6'3", really long, crazy agile, crazy change of direction speed. It's all about, can he mentally understand the game? Can he shut down a receiver with his instincts and his IQ? And it looks like he's definitely headed towards that. Again, most of the plays he's making is either IQ or it's a blend of his high IQ with his rare athleticism coming out in one play. And that's just something you just don't find every day. And it's amazing that we found it in the 3rd round. Great ball instincts, great patience, knows exactly when to go make a move, does not fall for fakes. When your corners are some of the smartest players on the field, you can truly be a no-fly zone. And then even just beyond his playmaking ability, he's apparently been draping over receivers as well. So receivers haven't even been thrown to in practices because of St-Juste being all over them at times. At times, a quarterback will look at the receiver, see St-Juste on them, and will just prefer to throw somewhere else. So Benjamin St-Juste is looking like that true number 2 lockdown corner that we need opposite of William Jackson so that Kendall Fuller can move to the slot. Also, Montez Sweat, and I've been seeing debates on Twitter about like how is Montez Sweat not as good or even better than Chase Young, and right now in camps he's right there with him. He's doing his classic batting down the passes. The defensive line being led by him and Chase Young are dominating the offensive line today. I mean, John Moscow, our offensive line coach, was livid after practice because he felt like the defensive line dominated the offensive line, and Chase Young and Montez Sweat played big parts in that. And speaking of Chase Young, Montez Sweat and Chase Young have been very vocal in practices so far. I love the fact that Montez Sweat is stepping up as a vocal leader now. Chase Young was already a vocal leader last year. I mean, he was our Ray Lewis, our Brian Dawkins. Didn't matter if it's offense, defense, special teams. He was the loudest one. He was the first one to celebrate. Now Montez Sweat is also stepping up as a vocal leader. Before snaps, him and Chase Young are just screaming and yelling all kinds of stuff to intimidate the offensive line. Talking trash, everything, and I love it. So they're just getting into the offense's head, and I'm pretty sure that's contributing to their complete domination over the offense in practice today. Staying with the defense, Troy Apke is actually getting a little better at corner. I know it's random. I still don't think he's going to necessarily make the team, but he's definitely looking like a better corner than he was a safety. Again, they're just trying it out because of his physical traits. You just can't teach that type of speed that he has. I mean, he even had one play on an end zone fade to Sammis Reyes, the tight end, that I'm really excited about. Troy Apke broke it up. So like, he's making plays at corner, making more plays at corner than he ever did at safety. Again, it still may not be enough for him to make the team, but it's interesting to know that he is a better corner than safety. Now, I know a lot of people will joke, well, I mean, he can't get any worse at anything else than he was at safety. Like, safety is the absolute floor for him. By default, he has to be better at everything else. I mean, he's probably even a better receiver than safety, and I feel that, but it is interesting to know that he is actually, like, you can see it on the field, a better corner. Again, I don't think it's enough. I don't think he's good enough to make the team, but this is the time to experiment, and we need bodies out there to go help groom a Sammis Reyes. Sammis Reyes needs guys to work against, to practice against, so he can get better, and why not Troy Apke right now? And then speaking of pass breakups, the entire secondary was getting pass breakups. Kamren Curl was locking up some people, getting some pass breakups. Jeremy Reeves had a couple as well. And I'm also happy to be hearing that Bobby McCain is getting the majority of first team snaps at free safety, because I definitely feel like he's far better suited at the single high center fielder free safety that we've been needing for a long time than DeShazer Everett. I like DeShazer. I like him as a depth piece, but Bobby McCain should be our starting free safety, and I'm glad to hear that he's out there playing that role early on. Also, with Jimmy Moreland out, Darryl Roberts is getting reps in nickel, which is allowing Curl to play more safety, which is where he's making plays at. And then Holcomb and Davis are your starting linebackers. But if y'all remember, I did a whole breakdown on Darryl Roberts. I mean, he's one of the most versatile pieces on this team. He's literally had seasons where he's played the majority of snaps at every different position in the secondary. He's had a season where he's played free safety more than anywhere else. He's had a season where he's played strong safety more than anywhere else. Same thing with slot corner, same thing with outside corner. And that's a great piece to have on your team, even if it's only for training camp, because whenever guys are out, like Jimmy Moreland today, you can play Darryl Roberts at slot. If for some reason there's injuries or guys are missing the outside corner, you can play Darryl Roberts at outside corner today so that the receivers and tight ends can have somebody to practice against. If for some reason Bobby McCain, DeShazer Everett, Jeremy Reeves are all just doing something else, injured, missing from practice, absent, whatever, you have Darryl Roberts that can step in and also substitute as a free safety for the offense to get better against. So, I mean, again, at the very least, having somebody like a Darryl Roberts makes your offense better and makes your defense more versatile. It will be nice to see if he makes the team, because again, no matter where we have an injury, you can just plug him in and expect him to play at a certain level. Not necessarily high, but definitely better than just some random guy off the street. Plus, him being that experienced and good at different positions can help all of these other guys out. He can even probably show Kamren Curl, like, okay, while you're in the slot, this play, or you're playing strong safety, make sure you look for that. So I feel like the Darryl Roberts signing was definitely a smart one. Again, he may not have a huge impact on the field, but at least he's somebody great to practice against and with. And then going back to Chase Young, of course, Chase Young is dominating in practice per usual. I mean, he beat Cornelius Lucas outside, inside, just like yesterday. He had a few should have been sacks, but they're not allowed to touch or hit the quarterback. But if it were a real game situation, Chase Young would have had a couple of them today. And Chase Young even had a pretty hard lick on Logan Thomas at one point, and then Logan Thomas walked away from the play, and of course Chase Young went over to check on him, and then Logan Thomas returned to practice later on, so we don't have to worry about him being hurt or anything. And then Chase Young is not only beating people physically, but he also had a great heads up play where they ran a fake, and then when Ryan Fitzpatrick turned around, Chase Young was already in his face, like not fooled at all. So that's great to hear as well. Chase Young has not missed a step, and if anything, he's gotten even better. So I'm really excited about that. Also, going back to the safeties real quick, it's definitely important to note that Jack Del Rio is drawing up a lot of safety blitzes in practices right now. Like, we may be blitzing the safeties a lot. Granted, Landon Collins isn't healthy enough for us to see him in action for blitzing right now, but I'm assuming that these safety blitzes are designed for him, with how he works well in the box and in the backfield. I'm excited to see what Jack Del Rio is going to do in year 2 with this defense. Sounds like they're getting even better and more advanced, more creative with their defensive play calling and personnel groupings. This is going to be really fun. Jeremy Reeves is just out here balling in general, breaking up passes in the secondary, blitzing to the quarterback and getting there. Again, the theme of the day is that the defense dominated, period. And then moving to the offensive side of the ball, Taylor Heineke was pretty sloppy in individual workouts, but when it came to 11 on 11s, he was great. I mean, he looked like he could potentially be the starting quarterback. His improvisation skills were showing again. When plays would break down, he would make something out of it, and when there was nothing there, he had the intelligence and the quick decision making to just go ahead and throw it out of bounds, not to force anything. He's out here scrambling and making throws on the run. He's out here dissecting defenses and finding the open receiver quickly. So it's great to hear that Taylor Heineke, just like Chase Young, has not missed a step since last season. These guys are only getting better, and that's great to hear, because if Ryan Fitzpatrick is out there looking terrible early on, we can be pretty confident in Taylor Heineke to step in and ball out. And Taylor Heineke's best pass of the day was probably the one to Kelvin Harmon, where, I mean, it was a deep ball and it was just in the perfect breadbasket for Kelvin Harmon. I mean, Kelvin Harmon barely had to do any work on that play. It was tight coverage, and a lot of people are saying that it was literally the best play of the day. So Taylor Heineke out here with the best play of the day in offseason workouts. Again, this is not his first time. He's out there balling this offseason. And then speaking of Kelvin Harmon, he's out there looking really good as well. He's catching everything thrown to him. He looks faster than he did his rookie season. His acceleration, his quickness, and everything. But the reason that we love Kelvin Harmon, and the reason that I really hope he makes this team, is his ability to make difficult catches in tight coverage. He made a catch today where coverage was draped all over him, and he still came down with it. And of course, the team applauded and loved it. He's out there making plays. And then speaking of receivers, the Fitzpatrick to Humphries connection is still strong. But I don't want to take any credit away from Adam Humphries. I don't want to act like Adam Humphries is only balling because he has chemistry with Ryan Fitzpatrick. No, Adam Humphries is out there getting separation, killing people with routes and things like that, getting open on his own. So Adam Humphries looks really good as well. Because as of right now, outside of De'Ami Brown, Curtis Samuel, and Terry McLaurin, really nobody's safe. But from what we're hearing from camp and from what we're seeing, Kelvin Harmon, Adam Humphries, and Cam Sims are making the biggest impacts out there. Now, granted, Steven Sims had a couple of catches. Antonio Gandy-Golden has a couple of catches, a touchdown here and there. Steven Sims has made some nice grabs. But as of right now, it seems like Kelvin Harmon, Cam Sims, and Adam Humphries are looking like the leading candidates for those last 3 receiver spots outside of Terry, Curtis Samuel, and De'Ami Brown. And then speaking of receivers, it's really weird that DeAndre Carter is getting snaps ahead of Steven Sims. Maybe that's because DeAndre Carter is right now our leading candidate to be our returner, but he more than likely won't make the team if he can't contribute anything on offense. So they're trying to see if he can contribute on the offensive side of the ball as like a slot receiver, so that he can double down as a receiver, as our punt returner and kickoff returner. That doesn't necessarily mean that Steven Sims is just terrible, but DeAndre Carter is a proven returner, and they're trying to see if they can get anything out of him beyond that so that can increase his chances of making the team and make him more useful. I mean, when we get down to those 53-man rosters, guys have to be able to do multiple things. You can't just be one thing. And right now, Steven Sims at best is probably just a slot receiver because we saw how terrible he was in the return game last season. They already know how good DeAndre Carter can be in the return game. Now they're hoping he can contribute as a slot receiver or just on offense, period. And then staying on the offensive side of the ball, hey man, hearing great things about Antonio Gibson. It has me excited. People are out here saying that Antonio Gibson looks even better than last year. He's out here breaking off great runs. His vision is better. He's more patient. He's more decisive. He knows exactly when to burst through a hole, because we already knew what he could do with his ability to break off big plays. But now the coaches are so excited because with his better vision, ability to be decisive, his IQ, his patience, he's consistently getting yards on the play. Rather than getting like 1 to 2 yards on the play here and there and then eventually breaking out for 8 or more, he's like consistently getting 4 or 5 like every play. And then every now and then he's getting a 15 plus. And then on top of that, he looks natural as a receiver. He's getting open on his own. He's catching the ball easily. Antonio Gibson is looking like he may truly become that Christian McCaffrey that a lot of us thought he could be last year. It's taken him a while to adjust to the NFL level, and he was more of a receiver than a running back coming out of college. But now that he's getting the running back side down, oh yeah, he's going to be unstoppable. I can definitely see how some people feel like he can be our offensive MVP by the end of this season. I mean, he is out there looking great. You don't have to worry about his turf toe injury at all anymore. He's looking excellent. He looks even better than he did last year. Again, he may not be 100% physically just yet. He's definitely in the 90% though. But it's his advancement and progression and development mentally that is making him a better overall package than he ever was last year. And again, I'm really excited about that, because to just add a Christian McCaffrey to what we had last year to this offense, along with all of the other weapons we've added in a revamped offensive line, it's really over with for people, man. People really don't understand that we're truly potentially about to have the most explosive offense in the NFL. Maybe not the most efficient, even though Antonio Gibson learning how to grind out 4 to 5 yards every running play no matter what is going to drastically improve our efficiency. But it's all on the shoulders of Ryan Fitzpatrick and or Taylor Heineke any given game. The weapons around them are solid. The offensive line on paper looks really good, but as of right now, the NFL's best defensive line is dominating them, which you expect, but we do need better out of the offensive line. So as of right now, offensive line is probably our biggest concern. Benjamin St-Juste is balling. Bobby McCain is holding it down at free safety. Our receivers are balling. John Bates looks great out there as a tight end too. Samus Reyes is progressing. So the secondary looks good. The receiving, the tight ends group looks good. The defense overall looks dominant. The linebackers are looking good out there. Right now, we're just waiting for the offensive line to catch up. And again, I feel like we could potentially have the best offensive line in the division, because the Eagles and Cowboys over the past 2-3 years, with how often and automatic their injuries are on the offensive line, I'm not gonna bet that they're gonna stay fully healthy throughout the course of this season, especially with an extra game. So you can always say like, yeah, you can assume anybody gets hurt, so it's kind of hard to calculate injuries. But with the Eagles and Cowboys offensive line, you pretty much have to assume that at least 2 or 3 starters on their offensive lines are gonna get hurt. That's just how it's been going down the past few years, and assuming that ours stays healthy, because Charles Leno has started a consecutive 90-something games. Chase Roulier has only missed like a handful of games his entire career so far. And then even at the other positions where Brandon Sheriff, you're not too sure about his health, even though he played like 13 games last year. Cornelius Lucas, you're not entirely too sure about his health. And even like Eric Flowers or Wes Schweitzer, whoever starts at left guard, Sadiq Charles, you're not sure about their health. But we have so much depth. We definitely have the better backups out of this division as far as offensive line goes. We have the best depth. So if there are injuries to all of our starters, Washington football team, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, and all of us end up playing backup offensive linemen, even then we'll still have the best offensive line. But again, I feel like our offensive line is going to be way healthier than the Eagles and Cowboys offensive line. So I'm saying all of this just to basically say that right now our biggest weakness as far as camp goes right now is the offensive line. And even with that, I feel like they're going to still be one of the better groups in the division in the NFL when it comes to Sundays. They're just getting beat up by the league's best defensive line right now. And I'm expecting our defensive line to manhandle other teams' offensive lines like they're manhandling ours right now, if not even worse. And I love the fact that since this offensive line is practicing against the best defensive line in football, that's only making them better. When Sundays come and they're going against any other defensive line, especially a non-top 5 defensive line, it's going to feel like a walk in the park to them. When you're used to blocking Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Tim Settle, Matt Ioannidis every day in practice, and then you're just going against a mid-tier defensive line, you're like, this is just way too easy right now. It's like a breath of fresh air. But yeah, man, I'm really excited about this team. I mean, I honestly can't point at any holes right now because, again, right now our biggest weakness right now is offensive line, and I really feel like they're going to potentially be the best in the division when it's all said and done on Sundays. And with Benjamin St-Juste developing at outside corner, man, hey, we're about to be really dangerous. I definitely feel like we're the favorites to win the division. We can debate about Super Bowl contenders. We'll see. We got to see how it all comes together on Sundays. But this team is already ahead of schedule, and players are already looking better than I expected them to look going into mandatory mini camps and training camps and things like that. So I'm expecting greatness out of this team. Like, this team is definitely trending upwards. The rookies are already ahead of schedule. I mean, it's crazy. This team is about to ball out. This is definitely a great year to invest in emotionally and get excited, because it may be a roller coaster ride, but I feel like at the end of the season we're gonna come out on top, at least in the division. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please like it. If you learned anything, please subscribe and hit the bell next to the subscription button like I mentioned in the intro, so you get a notification every time I release informative and opinionated videos like this one immediately. And as always, man, big shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. A special shouts out to my one All-Pro sponsor, Jaden, and a big shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel, especially during the live streams, man. I really appreciate all y'all, man. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.